Most businesses don't fail. They get stuck. Not because the product is bad, not because the market dried up, not because the owner stopped caring. They get stuck because the owner became the ceiling. If you ask a stuck business owner why they are stuck, they will tell you it is the economy, competition, not enough leads, not enough capital. They are wrong. Less than 4% of businesses in America ever cross $1 million in annual revenue. Not because markets are broken, not because the ideas were bad, because of one specific design flaw that almost every founder builds into their company from day one, without knowing it. The design flaw? They built themselves in. This is no book of a COO. If you are building a business and you want operational thinking instead of motivational content, subscribe now. This show is not about hustle. It is about the systems that actually scale businesses. Season 2. Let's get into it. So what does it actually mean to scale past the owner? It means the business runs without you. Not perfectly, not without your leadership, but it runs. Clients get served. Decisions get made, problems get solved, and none of that requires you to be in the room. That is what a business is. What most operators actually have is different. They have a job that cannot be delegated, wrapped in the legal structure of a company. The business functions because they function, which means the business has a ceiling. The ceiling? The owner. And here's the thing about ceilings. They do not announce themselves. They show up as exhaustion, stalled revenue, a team that keeps asking questions you already answered, the feeling that you are running as hard as you can and somehow still falling behind. Here is what the ceiling looks like in a real week. Monday morning. Before you open your laptop, there are 11 messages from your team. Questions that should not require you, decisions that have a clear right answer that your team does not know because you never wrote it down. Tuesday afternoon, a client issue lands on your desk. Your team could not resolve it, not because they are incompetent, because the process for handling this lives in your head. Friday evening, you are catching up on the things you were supposed to do on Monday, and the business moved about 6 inches forward. That is not a work ethic problem. That is a design problem. And design problems cannot be worked through. They have to be fixed. So why does this happen? What is the actual mechanism that keeps a business owner trapped in their own business? Start here. In most small businesses, the way things get done is not written anywhere. It is not in a manual. It is not in a system. It is in the owner's brain. How to onboard a client. How to handle a complaint, how to quote a job, how to prioritize when everything is on fire. All of that institutional knowledge, all of that judgment built over years of hard experience lives in exactly one place. The location? Your head. Which means the business is running an operating system that only one person can access. Now ask yourself something. What breaks first if you disappear for 7 days? Completely unreachable. 7 days. Whatever you just thought of, that is your diagnosis. That is where your operating system is most exposed. The University of Tennessee did a study on single points of failure in small businesses. They found that businesses where the owner holds more than 70% of institutional knowledge are 4 times more likely to plateau before crossing 7 figures. 4 times. Not because the business is bad, because the knowledge is not transferable, and knowledge that cannot be transferred cannot be scaled. The fix is not hiring more people. The fix is getting what is in your head onto a page that someone else can follow. 1 documented process per week. Start with the question your team asked you most often this month. Write the answer down. 1 page. That is week 1. But here's the part most operators miss. Even if you document every process in your business, you will still be the bottleneck if every significant decision still runs through you. Think about how many decisions hit your desk in a given week. Which vendor to use, whether to approve a refund, how to respond to an unusual client request, which task the team should prioritize when 2 things are due. Each one takes energy. Roy Baumeister at Florida State ran the research that named this decision fatigue. The quality of your decisions degrades as the number of decisions you make increases. You start Monday sharp. By Thursday, you are approving things you would normally push back on. By Friday, you are just surviving the inbox. That is not a character flaw. That is a system flaw. You are making decisions from scratch that should have been answered once, documented, and handed off. The operators who scale past this build what I call a decision architecture, a tiered framework that answers the question before it ever reaches them. Tier 1. Decisions that should never require the owner at all. Documented, delegated, done. Tier 2. Decisions that need a framework. The framework is documented. Anyone trained can execute it. Tier 3. Decisions that genuinely belong to the owner. Strategic, high stakes, irreversible. Most operators are drowning in Tier 1 decisions because they never built the system that handles them. Every Tier 1 decision you remove from your plate is cognitive capacity you get back, without adding a single person to your payroll. And the number one reason businesses never scale past the owner, the reason, there is no operator layer. Here's a distinction that most business education skips entirely. An entrepreneur identifies opportunity and drives growth. An operator builds the systems that make sure growth does not break the business. Most founders are exceptional entrepreneurs. What they are not always good at is building the infrastructure that makes momentum sustainable. So the business grows, revenue goes up, the team gets bigger, and everything behind the scenes quietly becomes more fragile because the operator layer was never built. What is the operator layer? Documented processes, decision frameworks, performance metrics, accountability structures, repeatable workflows, the connective tissue that allows a business to execute without requiring the founder to be the connective tissue personally. Without that layer, every new client adds complexity faster than the business can absorb it. That is not scale. That is acceleration toward a wall. The Harvard Business Review studied what separates businesses that plateau from businesses that break through the owner ceiling. The single most predictive factor was not revenue, it was not team size, it was not the market. The factor? The presence of operational infrastructure the founder did not personally operate. Businesses with documented systems, delegated decision tiers, and an operator layer in place were 6 times more likely to cross 7 figures than businesses that ran on founder dependency. 6 times. So what actually changes this? 3 moves. Not a rebrand, not a new hire, not a morning routine. 3 operational moves. Move 1. Document the operating system. Pick the 5 things your team asks you about most often. Write the process down, 1 page each, no jargon, no flowcharts, just the steps in order, clear enough that someone else could follow them without asking you a question. That is your first week, not a 6-month initiative, 1 week. Move 2. Build your decision architecture. Take 1 week and log every decision that comes to you. At the end of the week, categorize them. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. Then build the documentation that removes Tier 1 from your plate permanently. That alone will give you back several hours of cognitive capacity every week without working a single additional hour. Move 3. Build or become the operator layer. Either develop the operational skills yourself, find someone who already has them, or start the structured path we built inside the Operator Hub and the Operator Academy. The B3 courses cover the foundational 3 systems every operator needs. The Academy goes vertical specific, with an actual grant program for operators who implement what they learn. The businesses that scale past the owner are not the ones with the best product or the biggest budget. They are the ones where someone stopped being the ceiling and started building the floor. Here is your 1 move coming out of this episode. Take the free operator assessment. 3 questions into it, you will know exactly which of the 3 reasons we just covered is the one holding your business back right now. Not all 3 at once. The one. 3 minutes, free. Link is in the description. If you already know which one it is, leave it in the comments below. Foundation builder, stuck operator, scale ready. Tell me where you are. If this episode gave you something useful, share it with one operator in your world who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you have not. We are building here. Season 2 is just getting started. Wherever you are, that is exactly where you are supposed to be. But that does not mean you have to stay there. Until next time.